Welcome to my realm, located beyond both time and space. It is well that thou art here. I am that which humans call Arceus. Soon thou shalt find thyself in a world strange to thee, a world inhabited by wondrous creatures that humans call Pokémon. Seek out all Pokémon, and thou shalt find me once more.
Pokemon Legends Arceus. Arceus? Arceus. I'm going with Arceus. I'll be honest, despite my initial excitement when the game was announced, I was really quick to temper my expectations. I liked what I was seeing in the trailers. Big open world, normal random battles, new capturing and battle mechanics. Finally, it looked like Pokemon was doing something different. Finally pushing the series in a new direction. But as a longtime Pokemon fan, I remembered one thing. Don't get your hopes up, especially when Game Freak is involved. However, early impressions and leaks were all saying good things. One of the best Pokemon games in years. And now that I have my hands on it, I have to agree. Mostly agree anyhow. This is probably the first time in who knows how long that the majority of the internet seems to agree and like a new mainline Pokemon release. As someone who's been with the series since it first began, and has played every mainline Pokemon game till now, I'd be delusional if I said the Pokemon games haven't become stale. Sure, each new gen would build on the last one. New Pokemon, new moves, new region, and some new gimmick. And I've had varying degrees of fun with each one, but the core game has stayed exactly the same. No matter how many little things you add to it, the games really haven't changed in over 20 years. So finally, the series can evolve into something better. But this is only the first step in that direction. While I enjoy the game, and this will mostly be a positive review, there's still more things that I feel could be worked on and improved. I'll go ahead and get the biggest criticism of the game out of the way, the graphics. The graphics are rough. I like the art style they're going with. The character models and especially the Pokemon look pretty good. The Pokemon in particular look a lot more lively and colorful, unlike in older 3D games where they look desaturated and stiff. Everything else, not so much. Low-res textures are everywhere in this game, and distractingly so. Just about every NPC will have some low-res texture on their clothing, and since there's quite a few cutscenes in this game, it's impossible not to notice. The environments aren't much better. While I like the colors used, the diversity of the environments, and how good it looks at night, the trees, rocks, and grass are all very ugly up close, and there are tons of pop-in as you walk around. Not as bad as No More Heroes 3, but barely any better than Sword and Shield. And no, you can't use the excuse that the Switch isn't powerful enough. Breath of the Wild looks leagues better, and it's a launch title. Xenoblade Chronicles is not only a bigger game, but might be one of the best looking games on the Switch. Look, I know graphics aren't everything. I'm someone who loves games like No More Heroes despite how ugly it can look at times. But Game Freak can't keep getting a pass for bad graphics. They've been working with 3D since Gen 6. And I've had 3 years since Sword and Shield to get better with the Switch's hardware. I don't expect The Witcher 3 on ultra settings here, just that my Switch game looks like a Switch game, and not a slightly better looking 3DS game. Now that the elephant in the room is out of the way, what does Arceus do exactly to shake up the normal Pokemon formula? Well, before release, most observers were calling it Pokemon of the Wild. And the trailers were definitely giving that impression. But it's less Breath of the Wild and more Monster Hunter. You have your hub town in the form of Jubilife Village. This is where you'll receive your main story missions, along with requests from the people who live here. And outside of a few small settlements, it's essentially the only real town in the game. Once you leave the town, you'll choose an area of the map to travel to. And depending on what camps you've unlocked, you can fast travel to certain spots in a given area. These areas are huge, equal to, if not much bigger than the wild area from Sword and Shield. Pokemon are scattered throughout, with different habitats filled with different Pokemon, and changing depending on the time of day. At first, you'll only be able to sprint around, unable to climb certain surfaces, and your character being unable to swim across rivers. But as you complete story missions, you'll slowly unlock mounts to get around a lot faster, and reach places you normally couldn't. The mounts are essentially the ride Pokemon from Sun and Moon, serving the same function of eliminating HMs and getting around. Despite its bigger world though, it feels empty compared to mainline games. Outside of your camps in a given area, you'll barely encounter any NPCs, and the few you do don't give you anything, or even battle. Just there to offer a tip or occasionally put in a request. And as you're running around, you'll only ever see a handful of Pokemon at a time. Hell, the wild area felt more populated than this. Some might argue Switch limitations, but my counterpoint is Xenoblade Chronicles again. And I'll go ahead and throw in Shin Megami Tensei 5 as well. Now, the more open world isn't the only change Arceus is bringing to the table. It also revamped the capturing and battle mechanics of the series. Now, I really like the new capturing mechanics. Being able to sneak up on a Pokemon and just chuck a Pokeball at it is so damn satisfying, especially in comparison to something like Pokemon Go. In that game, it just felt like a really boring luck-based minigame. Here though, you can lure Pokemon using food or stun it with another item to make it easier to catch. Like the older games, you have different Pokeballs to help, with some newer ones that play with the new mechanics. The heavy and lead balls, for example, have a higher catch rate, but don't travel as far. So you really have to get up close and within fart smelling range in order to use it. But you can't just cheese the game by capturing everything around you. Some Pokemon have a huge cone of vision, so if they spot you, they'll aggro and you'll either have to fight or run away. Before you have a chance to actually throw out your own Pokemon though, an enemy Pokemon can end up hurting you instead. You can't see it, but you do have a life bar, and if you take too much damage, you'll black out, dropping some of the items you collected out in the field. Thankfully, it is easy to avoid most Pokemon when they start attacking, as you can dodge out of the way of their attacks, or put enough distance between you and them to drop aggro. And of course, you could just throw out your own Pokemon before you're knocked out. Pokemon battles are still mostly the same, remaining turn-based but adding some changes to spice things up. First, you can see the turn order at the top right of the screen. Depending on a Pokemon's speed and the moves they use, you can get multiple attacks off in a row. Second, and the biggest feature advertised about the battling, is the new style systems. There's a strong style and an agile style. Strong lets you hit harder but at the cost of sacrificing your next turn, and agile lets you move up in the turn priority, at the cost of a weaker attack. And both styles consume 2 PP instead of the usual 1. I like the style system. It does add a little bit more strategy to fights, and can be useful if you're trying to catch a Pokemon and you're worried about knocking it out. You have to unlock the styles for each move, though it's as easy as using the move in battle or just leveling up your Pokemon. Battles feel a lot more dynamic now. The game no longer takes you to another screen when starting a battle, and everything takes place in the area you found the Pokemon. Certain moves look a lot more animated compared to the older games, and Pokemon actually move to attack as opposed to hopping in place while using an attack. You can move the camera around during the fight and move your playable character too. Though be careful as you can get hit by either of the Pokemon's attacks. On the topic of moves, they're different as well. There's no TMs or move deleter anymore. You're still limited to 4 in battle, but you can easily change out your moves on the fly. And a trainer in town will teach your Pokemon more moves for a fee. Fights took a step up in difficulty, as enemy Pokemon have more move variety, can attack you before you choose a move, and deal more damage overall. Hell, Pokemon that were really underleveled compared to my team still managed to do a decent amount of damage. And I don't know if I missed it when it was being explained, but I discovered by accident that you can fight more than one Pokemon at a time. If you end up aggroing several Pokemon at once, they'll all join in on the fight against your one Pokemon. Admittedly, this isn't the first time Pokemon has done this, as in Pokemon X and Y you could enter horde battles, fighting up to 5 Pokemon at once. The difference though is that horde fights involved fighting much weaker Pokemon all at once, and you couldn't capture a Pokemon until the rest were knocked out. Also, you had moves you could use that targeted several Pokemon at once. You might think that you're screwed if you pull too many high-level Pokemon at once, but thankfully you can run away from any encounter. So if you're in over your head, you don't have to worry about your team getting destroyed. That said, and I haven't seen it talked about too much, is that fights have been stripped down too. Pokemon can no longer hold items in battle, and they no longer have abilities either. So while fights are flashier, and have some new strategies with the style systems, it did lose its more competitive aspects. Though I can see Game Freak bringing this back for Gen 9. Outside of regular Pokemon, you'll see bigger versions walking around known as alphas. They tend to be over-leveled for the area they're in, have different movesets than they normally would, and are extremely aggressive compared to other Pokemon. While not impossible, you can capture them without fighting. Though if you're not at the right star rank, you won't be able to control them. Now's a good time to talk about the story. I'll avoid any huge spoilers and just briefly go over it. Your playable character gets transported through time and space to ancient Sinnoh, also known as the Hisui region. After meeting the local professor, you're recruited into the Survey Corps. No, not that one. Specifically the Galaxy Team Survey Corps. Your job is to go out, study, and capture Pokemon so that humans can get a better understanding of them, and learn to live in harmony together. You're essentially filling out the Pokédex again, but with a twist this time. Because this is the first Pokédex, and humans know close to nothing about Pokemon unlike other games. Filling out the dex isn't the usual one-and-done affair of just owning the Pokemon. You'll have various research tasks to complete in order to fill out a Pokemon's page. This involves catching a certain amount of Pokemon, battling a certain amount, watching them use a certain move or use a certain move on them, feeding them, catching them at different times of day, having them evolve, etc. Thankfully, you're not required to fill out every single research task unless you want to, and getting a Pokemon's research level to 10 is enough to consider it completed in the Pokédex. Once you complete these tasks, you'll be rewarded with a certain amount of research points that will unlock a star rank in the Galaxy Team. These star ranks replace gym badges in this game, allowing you to capture higher level Pokemon, giving you access to new Pokeballs and crafting recipes, and allowing you to enter higher level areas. And besides the research tasks, you'll also be assisting the Diamond and Pearl clans. Both clans have noble Pokemon that they worship as protectors. And due to some strange lightning, these Pokemon are frenzying and attacking everything in sight. Naturally, it's up to you to stop them. But again, there's a twist. Combat against noble Pokemon is a human v Pokemon boss battle that involves throwing specially prepared bombs at them to help them calm down, all the while dodging and avoiding their attacks. Each noble Pokemon fights differently and requires precise timing to dodge their attacks. During certain moments they'll be stunned, and give you an opportunity to use your own Pokemon against them. But honestly, it's just faster to finish the fight on your own, and a lot more fun. This is a mechanic I hope they keep and expand on in future games. It would be cool to have more items to use, or hell, have raid battles be this instead, with you and some friends just throwing hands with a rare Pokemon. Oh yeah, there's a crafting system in this game. You can make more Pokeballs, potions, or items to help capture Pokemon. The crafting is fine. Nothing spectacular if I'm being honest, so it's not like Dragon Quest where you can make rare items if you have the right materials, or make items without a crafting recipe. But it isn't tedious like Animal Crossing where it takes forever to make a batch of items. And honestly, you'll probably want to be crafting constantly, as you have very, very limited inventory space. The game strips back the inventory system to red and blue levels, meaning you start off with just a few inventory slots, and only one pocket to hold every type of item. This is a contrast to how the game has been for years, separating items by Pokeballs, medicines, TMs, and berries. I'm not a huge fan of the inventory at all. You're constantly collecting things while out in the wild, and it doesn't take long to fill up your bag. The game does have an NPC that will increase your bag space, but only one extra slot at a time, and with an increasingly more expensive price tag each time. Honestly, I think inventory upgrades would have been better used as a series of requests, letting you add a lot more space all at once for completing certain tasks, or just crafting a bigger bag if you have the right items. Finally, I'll cover the requests, the side quests of the game. Scattered around Jubilife and out in the Hisui region, NPCs will make random requests. They either want you to capture certain Pokemon, find certain items, or craft certain items. Fulfill the request, and you're usually rewarded with some items or money. However, completing certain requests will expand and add more things to Jubilife Village. For example, you can unlock more clothing for your character, unlock more features at the photo hut, unlock more stuff to buy at the general store, grow more items at the farming fields, and much, much more. So while the requests are very bare bones, at the very least the rewards for some are pretty good. And I think I'll wrap things up here. Pokemon Legends Arceus is the breath of fresh air this series has desperately needed for years. It finally expanded on its core mechanics, changing up the way you capture and battle Pokemon, making them more involved, dynamic, and more importantly, fun. While the story isn't going to be winning any awards, at least there's a sense of mystery and urgency to it. It can get a bit dark, and you can relate to the NPCs a lot better than in previous games. Performance-wise, it runs pretty well, only really stuttering in certain places, but the graphics really bring the game down a bit. Like I previously said, graphics aren't everything, and it probably won't bother most Pokemon fans, but it's definitely a place that Game Freak desperately needs to improve. The quality of life features introduced make it a much smoother experience, and things like manually evolving your Pokemon as opposed to having it be automatic after they hit the right level really opens up the chance for some interesting challenge runs. I like the designs of the new Pokemon introduced, along with the new Hisuian versions of old Pokemon, though I really wish Game Freak would pull the trigger and make the majority of Pokemon regional variants as opposed to only a handful. Random events out in the field like Pokemon outbreaks that increase your odds of capturing a shiny Pokemon, or space-time distortions that will spawn tons of items along with random Pokemon not native to the area, help make the exploring aspects even more fun. Pokemon Legends Arceus is far from perfect. The large open world is held back by being practically barren in certain areas. There's only a handful of fights against other Pokemon trainers, which really takes out one of the more fun aspects of the series. The social component is also drastically reduced, as outside of trading, you can't battle your friends online. Hell, the only real online mechanic is just retrieving another person's satchel if they died in the wild. It's a real letdown to see, especially since trading and battling with your friends has been a core component of the series since the beginning. While Jubilife Village is decently sized and has quite a lot to do in it, it would have been great to see more settlements and towns scattered around. And this is something of a small nitpick, but I think it's time we got some voice acting in these games. This was something that was really distracting in Sword and Shield in certain cutscenes, but with the focus on story and the new characters in this game, along with tons of dialogue, it's just odd to see everyone be silent, especially since your character does have a voice. They're basically just making grunts when dodging or getting attacked, but that's huge compared to the mute protagonists you've played as. I wouldn't go as far as calling Pokemon Legends Arceus the greatest Pokemon game of all time, but it's definitely up there. And it's definitely a good game, and the first step in a new direction for a series that desperately needed to change. I'm hopeful that Game Freak will take what they've built here and improve on it. Re-add features they've removed, improve the graphics, and learn how to populate this barren world. If you're a longtime Pokemon fan, definitely pick this one up. And if you're someone who left the series because it got too samey, give it a look. You might be surprised how all these changes breathe some new life into the series. And that's the video. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope everyone got that Persona reference I did at the beginning. Sorry for my terrible Igor voice. It's been a long time since I've done a proper review on this channel, so let me know what you guys think. I didn't cover every little thing as I didn't want the review to be bloated, and some of it's late game stuff I don't want to spoil. I'm having a lot of fun with Arceus, and trying my best to enjoy it and not rush through it. But with Elden Ring around the horizon, I don't want to take too long. Like I brought up in my last video, I've started recording for the next game I'm covering, and it's going to be a long one. I think I'm going to structure it a little differently as the game involves a decent amount of grinding, and I don't want to bog down the video with every little thing I'm doing. Expect this one towards the end of the month. Again, thanks for watching, and thanks for 300 subs. Holy crap, it only took a month after getting to 200. Maybe I can reach that 1,000 sub goal this year. If you enjoyed the video, give it a like, and comment down below about what you thought. Are you playing Pokemon Arceus? Are you enjoying it as much as other people? Do you think there's certain spots it really could have improved on? And what's your favorite part about it? And if you're new to my channel, I'd appreciate it if you subscribed. I'm FuzzySlippers, and I'll see you later. Peace.